Hello, everyone, and thank you so much again for tuning in. Today's episode is one of the most fun ones I've had. I talked with my friends Alan and Joe. Alan and Joe are hardcore computer programmers and software developers. But we didn't talk just about software development. We actually talked more about the community and the aspect of networking that is really important, both for software developers, programmers, and anyone who's typically a builder who's busy building stuff and actually just making things that somewhere the networking might go missing. So those are the kinds of aspects and topics about community and community building that I talked with Joe and Alan about. So enjoy the episode and hope you like it.
Yeah.
Alan, Joe,
Yes, sir.
I'm so happy to have you both here. Thank you. Thank you for doing
Excited
this.
to be here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
How are you doing today?
Good.
Excellent.
We just had a really great event, and things went well.
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely. It's like one of the biggest turnouts we've had for one of our events. So yeah.
All right. When you say about biggest turnout, let's let the audience that has tuned into us. I want you both, one by one, to tell about what we are doing. By the way, we are shooting here live at Indeed Brewing, so shout out to them. But what are we doing here? What did we see a huge turnout of? We'll start with you.
Yeah. So I mean, we found that like basically what this is just software engineers who want to meet other software engineers. You could be anywhere from someone who's trying to get into software engineering to somebody who's been in it for years and years and years.
Okay.
And we have people with decades of experience that show up to these things and have worked in since web 1.0 was a thing, right? So it's like really it's just about meeting other people with different experiences and being able to learn off them and each other.
Good.
Yeah.
Why did
So-
you start doing this, like code and brews?
Yeah. So this is about Code and Brews and Code and Coffee. They're two different events. We have Code and Coffee in the mornings on the first Saturday of the month, and Code and Brews on the second Wednesday of every month. We go to different breweries and stuff, but the whole goal of these events are to again bring out the developer community, give them places to go, meet people, learn from each other, find find jobs to some degree, and just meet other developers and have a good time and yeah.
That's awesome. I wanted to also, I've known you both for a while now. Why did you start like doing this? What was the origin story of all of this? Like how did you two get together to start doing this?
Yeah, so I mean the big thing here was that I was moving around about I mean within 2 years I lived in 4 different cities. And so I was living in Durham, North Carolina, I was living in Chicago, Milwaukee, Washington DC. And in that time frame, Code and Coffee is like ubiquitous, right? There's a ton of events across the country that had done this, but in Washington D.C., I kind of like to look at them as like they McDonald's it. I mean, they
Yeah.
franchised this thing. They created a really great like
Model.
yeah for dissemination across the entire country. I mean, there was a way that like people could it was just a non-confrontational and sort of approachable way of talking about software engineering. Anyone from anywhere could talk about anything and just learn and grow. And so I had left Washington D.C. with that event. That I mean, I've been to other Code and Coffees, but that one, I mean, they had one every single week that
Okay.
averaged 60 to 100 engineers every single time.
Mhm.
And it was just really inspiring to see. So when I came back to Milwaukee, I started my own, which I just called Code and Brews, because the idea was we could do morning or we could do night. And so brews, you brew coffee or you brew beer. So that was
Okay.
the idea. And then, Alan was coming to all these events and he was just really interested. And he ended up becoming a co-founder. I mean, a really integral part of making sure that this event continued to go on. So where we ended up going from this is that like post COVID, people from Washington D.C. that had been going to those events, they just went all over the country and they wanted to do their own. Where I had already started, here in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they were everywhere, all over the country. And so basically Alan and we just like were, well, let's just be Code and Coffee in the mornings, and eventually we'll start Code and Brews again at
Right.
night, and just kind of separate. But there's the same event, just, different people going to different things.
Okay.
And so it's just catering to a different demographic, and trying to capture morning people and I guess night people. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Different audiences, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
No.
I got involved because I really like the events. I really like the format. I've been going to a lot of other meetups and stuff, and it was a kind of a different crowd. There was no like speakers. You're getting down in the code. You're actually sitting down with people and opening up your laptop and looking at the code and just finding different ways of looking at coding and different languages and different techniques. It's just really a lot of good environment to work in, or to be in. And yeah, I just like the networking part and the format. I've
Just
been
the
to a lot
open
of-
format.
Yeah, the open
casual
format.
format,
Yeah,
like-
there's no right now. I mean, we're gonna try to maybe add some of that stuff, but
Right.
we don't have any formal like presentations. There were some people that came tonight that had never been to one of these, and they're like, "Oh, what's the presentation tonight?" I'm like, "We don't have one."
Yeah, I mean, people definitely get weirded out. They'll be like, "Wait, so what is the event? I mean, I just bring my computer, or what do I do?" And
Yeah.
it is pretty weird to explain to somebody that it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just you show up. I don't know, like it's just one of those things that like people really like it because they make of it what they want. Right? Are you
Yeah.
coming to learn from somebody else? Are you just trying to chat and complain about your job because like it's annoying whatever you're dealing with, or some technology that you think is just like really frustrating to experience, and you're just trying to find someone to vent?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be like anything really, and people just seem to really like that it's open-ended and that
Right.
there's no planning. It's just it is what you make of it.
Yeah, I mean, I keep telling people it's a plan your own event, right? It's a create your own event, right? You're here, you can do coding with people. There's some people that bring their projects and they work on them here. There's other people that that are just here to network, or they're here to find a job or whatever, right? So you start out with the big circle.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of talks about what they're working on, what they can help people with, what they need help with.
Yeah.
And from there it's your own experience. It's whatever you make of it, and it's flexible that way, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the other meetups, and I'm not criticizing any of the meetups. And meetups are awesome. I really love, and I've been to a lot of meetups, and I like the format. But it's a presentation, and then it's a bunch of people like networking afterward, which
And getting drunk.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and they're not necessarily. I spoken at events, and presented, and it's not even a lot of people coming up to you and even talking to you about it. It's like they're off on their own thing, right?
Right.
You're just there as a whatever, some kind of
Side piece.
Yeah, side piece. I mean, it's great to hone your skills or whatever as a presenter and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not as I mean, it's not as much fun, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah, I want to ask you one quick question, and I want everybody to know, because you have one of the most unique ways of the ice breaking exercise. So could you please elaborate on what is this whole circle about? And I actually wondered when I was coming in first time, why is everybody saying hi to each other? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh my, yeah. So like, I mean, the big thing actually, that's when I got from the Washington DC one. So like, what they did different than other people was like that repetition of the person's voice, which is just so corny and cheesy. But like when you think about it, you don't really remember people's names when you first hear it. When you first hear it, you're taking in somebody and like their essence and their person. But like when you hear it the second time is really when you're hearing their name and actually like cementing who they are. And I have found, having gone through the experience as somebody who wasn't organizing, that it was just so enjoyable, as tacky and weird as it was, to be like, my name's Joe. Hi, Joe. That like, but like it also, it's just humbling, right?
Yeah,
It brings
right,
everyone to the same level. It doesn't matter who you are. if you're somebody from the community that's just like has some kind of clout or something, you're doing the same thing. Everyone's saying like they just met you for the first time and everyone's on the same level, and it's just like that's what this is about. This is about evening the playing field and making it so that like it's okay if you don't know this or that. This is just a place to explore. Like no one's judging you for not knowing this or that. Like it's just about, you know, it's just about what don't you know? What can I help you with? Like there are so
Right.
many like experienced engineers that come here that just like what can I advise you on? What can I tell you to
Right.
Some people just want to tell you what not to do.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah, I mean, that's a good experience. I mean, there's no wrong way of doing things. There's just learning experiences,
Yeah.
right? And so what we do up front is we ask three questions. You say your name, and as Joe said, we say your name back to you to get that understand who you are, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
to remember your name. And then it's, what am I working on today? What things can I help you with?
Okay.
And what things I might need help with. And those three things help to organize people, to help them
Right.
understand who can help them, what things
Yeah, I mean,
they might
I
be able to help people
remember
with. Yeah,
going
yeah.
through it and just being like ignoring everybody till I heard that one person that said the technology they're working
Right.
with, and it's like, wow, like I don't have to Google anything. I don't have to do. I can just ask this person this like key question
Yeah.
Yeah.
that like I've been really struggling with, that like I can just get a reasonable answer from, because they're just like here because they're just
Yeah.
trying to talk to
Yeah,
other
yeah,
people,
exactly.
like exactly for this situation, right? Like, oh yeah, like yeah, oh you want to know about that? Let me tell you about that. You know, and it's just like this really like relatable experience of people just want to help each other, you know,
Right.
and that's like we provide that opportunity for people to help each other. To I mean, I get a little frustrated when sometimes when somebody who comes in here and like, oh well, I just started learning and I don't really have anything to offer. I disagree. I think you come in here with a perspective that gives people that like, well, you're coming in at a different point where you were learning where I wasn't. ChatGPT didn't exist when I was learning.
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna have a
Mhm.
completely
Yeah.
different experience about how you're learning and picking up things. Of course,
Right.
of
Right.
course you have something to offer. Right? Like you're gonna be to think that you can't learn something from somebody who's just picking up things is ridiculous. And I really hope that people kind of learn that from
Right.
our events.
I mean, part of it is in order for you to be able to be good at something, if you can explain it to somebody else,
Right.
right?
Great
You're gonna be better at your job if you can explain it to somebody else. And I taught for a while,
Yeah.
and everybody learns differently, right?
Yes.
And so if I can't explain it to you in a way that you can understand it, then I might have to rethink the way that I'm explaining things
Mhm.
in in code reviews or in just mentoring of other developers and things.
Exactly.
So those kinds of things help out a lot, and even senior developers need some of that experience, right?
Wow. I like what both of you said. I just want to stick to this one little point which you said about asking someone else for like help. Right now, as we are sitting at this date, there's the whole chat GPT interface, and it's amazing. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
But there's still that element where you can go up to a human and somebody can sit down and explain you
Right.
like, what's so special about that, especially in like coding, because there's a lot of complexity to it. So
Mhm.
if you can just stay on this just for a minute, and because I think that's special, this is my take
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. No, I mean you can't fight these like different AI tools that are out there, right? They're gonna be there and you can't go against them. It's just about learning how to work with them in conjunction with people. At the end of the day, all these things are built with people in mind, right? Like you can't at the same time that you can't escape ChatGPT for people learning to grow, you also can't escape people being there as a facilitator of that, right? And people are always going to be able to provide you that sort of nuanced experience of how to answer a question. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that like, yeah, no matter how many times I rephrase some kind of question to Google, that I wasn't able to get exactly what I wanted. And that sometimes that talking to a person and being able to just ramble on about something that you don't really know, you don't even know. I mean, you don't even understand, right? Like I can't ramble on to ChatGPT about what I don't know. I'd have to a series of subsequent like frustrating experiences. I can only
The psychology of it, right?
right, like I got to be able to find somebody who I can just ramble on to about
Right.
like what I don't know, to be able to find out what I don't know, to be able to talk about what I don't know. Right? Like it's a kind of a weird thing to talk about, but you need to be able to learn the language from which talk about the unknown. And you're not going to find that from ChatGPT. You're going to find that from other people. I, tend to speak more than I should probably think, but in some ways that's an advantage because I do think that this like rambling is able to get you somewhere that it wouldn't if you were just trying to really think about how to put it. Right. And like when you're talking to ChatGPT, in a lot of ways, you really have to think kind of how you're going to prompt it. But when you're talking to a person, they can get on those nuances that maybe it wouldn't be able to. That still like can't replace it.
Right. And even when you do use ChatGPT and that kind of thing, you still have to understand what the hell it's giving you, right? I mean, by just blindly taking things, it doesn't necessarily help you to learn unless you actually can explain it. I mean, we're just talking to one of the guys from the IC Stars who's teaching and having to compete with ChatGPT, right? He doesn't want to have ChatGPT teaching everybody everything, right? Without them understanding it. It's that understanding piece that you kind of need either a human or you need to put it back into ChatGPT to have it explain what the heck it just did, right?
No.
And so there's that piece of it. You can learn some things from ChatGPT, but in the end, you still have to be cognizant of what it is that it's generating.
So these are wonderful. Thanks for sharing all of this. One thing I wanted to ask you both was, obviously we are doing this in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the United States. Tell me a little bit about the tech in MKE, the scene, and just what's special about Milwaukee here.
What's special about Milwaukee is that there's been some really, I mean, as an example, like the zip file was created here. And I can't think of something that so quintessentially impacts day-to-day develop. Like, I mean, on just a fundamental level that people have exposure to, that would have no idea was created here, right? I mean, I think Milwaukee has this like quiet power of engineering that I think isn't taken as seriously as it should be. There are so many talented engineers here who basically just kind of like go and do their job, but don't really think about more than that. And I think that like what we really want to do is find those people and really make them question like, why can't I actually do more? And I think that there's just so much talent in the city.
Yeah.
I mean, I come from the city. Alan comes from the city, right? Like we have. I like to think I know a little bit about what I'm doing, right? And
absolutely.
and I think that I've learned a lot of people, like from a lot of people in this city. It's not like this is some kind of vacuum. This is real place with real people with real talent. There's a reason why there's these really huge companies. I mean, they're not tech companies, but they require tech as their foundation for success, right? And how could they possibly be headquartered here without good talent to support it? Right? I mean, this is an important city, and I think that like we'll find that as time goes.
Yeah, I mean, I reiterate, I mean, I've met a lot of really smart people in the city and been able to do some really cool stuff. So over the years, and it's exciting, right? I'm very excited about technology, and I love to meet people that are the same. I have some of the same aspirations, right? I have some of the same, what do you call it? Just love to do technology, right? And love to learn and be a part of it. And the meetup groups and the technology area, there's a lot of really smart people. And it's been fun to hang out with and to do stuff with.
Cool.
Over the years, definitely.
Is there any trend that you're picking up? Is there any trend that you're picking up from the community of what's kind of the new thing or people wanting to learn more of?
Oh man, I mean, I don't know. You know, JavaScript has always been a really fundamental part of these events. I would say that like half of people at any of our events are in some way dealing with JavaScript. So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, that whole ecosystem has changed drastically, especially as it's gotten more toward. I mean, when I first started, all you really needed to know was HTML and CSS, and that was it. And I feel so bad for people starting out now because it's really like the expectations that you're an application developer. I mean, it's not really enough to know HTML and CSS anymore, right?
Yeah.
You got to understand server-side rendering, you got to understand client-side versus server-side front end developer, and that's really, you know, moving more toward this sort of like full stack area.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot harder to get in this sphere, but like people are doing it. I mean, we're seeing here with the amount of people that are what they're building, what they're working on. We actually are seeing a lot more people in game development, which is like growing at our events.
Really?
There's a group.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a group of game developers that come on Saturdays. At the last Code and Coffee, they took their own like conference room and sat in there and
Oh,
talked
wow.
to each other while they were while they were coding and stuff. So
And they're publishing the game?
yeah, well, they were all working on their own games and stuff. But,
Okay,
I mean,
good.
a lot of them just were learning from each other, right? I mean, and asking questions. And I was helping. I mean, I was helping one by just saying, hey, if you want to really understand what you're doing, let's do some tests first. But
Yeah.
and so just giving them different perspectives and that kind of stuff too. So
Yeah.
and we've seen a lot more Rails development, like you were saying,
Which is odd,
which
yeah.
is kind of interesting, making a resurgence around the area too. So that's been interesting. But there's a lot of React and Vue and Angular. I mean, we get all kinds of things.
Yeah.
.NET reigns supreme in this community for sure.
A lot of Microsoft in Milwaukee.
Yeah. Could you just, for the benefit of our listeners who are non-tech, because we threw around a lot of words like React. What is React? They're reacting to each other.
Yeah.
So just if you can explain
there's a lot of different front end technologies that people use to build the website, right? To build the front end, to build the user interface, what we call the user interface. Those are React and Vue and Angular and Svelte and Knock, and I mean, it's just a ton of different languages that can be used to build that web interface. That
so you're
we
seeing
see
a lot
of it around. It'd be nice to see the JavaScript users group come back.
Yeah. No, this is cool. I learned a lot, like just from speaking with you, and I've been coming to this for quite some time. I think we have to do a second part also of this, but we just wanted to get you on because just from my personal experience here, I really appreciate what you guys are doing for the community, building a community where people can come in, ask questions, and have that trust base and a community that is really centered in just helping the way that you prompt. And in general, I like you guys. It's very odd for me to say it like camera and stuff like that. But no, generally, just thank you for doing this. I know personally how hard you've been working behind the scenes to put the resources together. It's not easy just to like people think it's just an slap something on onto the web page and people just show up, but there's a lot of things behind the scenes. So thank you first of all.
No, thank you. I mean, I'm completely humbled that we were even asked to do this. This is great. I mean, Naveen, you're an awesome guy. Like this is.
You don't need to say this, please.
This is great. I know I don't need to say it. I mean, it's great. I
No,
mean,
thank you.
Ever since you started coming to these things, Naveen, it's been great.
You push us to do better, frankly.
You push us and you've helped a lot.
Yeah, so, like really, you.
No, absolutely. And can we just tell our viewers about like for 2024, 2025, like just in general, how to find Code and Brews, Code and Coffee, and any shout outs or anything?
No, yeah, I mean,
the MKE Tech Meetups.com.
You want to say it one more time?
MKE Tech Meetups.com.
All right.
That'll give all of the tech meetups. So I've been trying to gather all of the tech meetups onto a single page by scraping by pulling in all of the information
Yeah.
from both Meetup and Eventbrite and all the other events that are going on in Milwaukee, and trying to build a site where you can go to find information about all of them. So
Okay,
that's
and
that's a
give
big
all those links
Yeah.
also.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. No, I mean, meetup.com. I mean, meetup.com's a terrible application. I have to say that. You basically just need to do like Meetup, and then on Google do Meetup, and then Code and Coffee,
Yeah.
or Code and Brews, and you should be able to see the Milwaukee version of that.
Okay.
Especially if you do like Milwaukee Code and Coffee, the Meetup homepage should show up.
Okay, and also just
and eventually we'll be launching Meetup. Right? We should probably
you
Right.
wanna
something
you wanna
in,
talk
right?
about that too quickly?
So Meetup will be our nonprofit version that we are going to be using to host all of these events, and to hopefully build more tech meetup events and hackathons and
More to come.
resources and things. So
We basically just want to
along
be able
the
to
way.
provide, to be an asset for other people in the community to be able to launch their tech events and help them. Because I think one of the biggest barriers is just finding a space and finding money.
Yeah.
And we've been lucky enough to find people in this community who were like, "Hey, you don't have money for this event?
Yeah.
Let us hook you up." And it's not a lot of money, and so it's just, we have partners and people who are willing to help us, and it's the reason why we've been doing this for 5-6 years, right?
Yeah, that's
we
a
want
long
to
time.
we want to pay some of it forward and
Yeah.
help. We're all about just building the community, right, and helping developers in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I literally just want to find someone that I can talk to that will just listen to me.
I'll listen to you. No, but seriously, this is a great platform that you've built over the years. And just to be clear to the viewers who would be perhaps listening this for the first time, who perhaps do not have a technical background, like they are welcome too, right?
Yeah, the bare minimum is just, do you want to learn about coding?
Okay.
That's it. You gotta bring a laptop. You gotta, do you have some kind of coding thing? It could be you could just be wanting to learn HTML.
Okay.
Any kind of anything you want, we've got it.
Even if you're part of the other parts of the development ecosystem, you're more of a product development, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff. We're definitely we have a number of like startup CTOs that come
Yeah.
and things like that. So there's just it's a wide variety of people, and you're not expected to actually code.
Right.
If you're interested in how it works, or meet people that actually do it, all that kind of stuff too. We're all open and welcome. If you want to do, if you have a startup and you're looking for talent,
Yeah.
and be able to, meet some really dedicated tech people,
Right.
this is a good place to come too. So
That's awesome. Again, thank you for everything that you do. We will continue to support you, and we have to do a second part also. 'Cause
Sounds great.
I couldn't get through a lot of the things that I wanted to just talk with you in general about.
Sounds good.
So we'll have to do a part 2.
Okay.
All right.
And
right.
thank you. Really
Great.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Alan, thank you,
Yep.
Joe. And a big shout out to Vishnu, who's behind the camera.
Hey.
Also. Thank you for helping us out. And